Welcome to our channel HD Rare Coin 111, your go-to spot for uncovering the incredible world of rare US coins. If you've ever wondered if your old pennies, nickels, or dimes are worth more than face value, you're about to find out. In today's video, we'll be exploring some truly rare coins and their shocking values. And if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. Top 1. Every now and then, a coin comes along that isn't just a piece of money. It's a time capsule, a tribute, a national symbol molded into metal. One such coin is the Kennedy Half Dollar, bearing the dual dates 1776 to 1976, a coin that commemorates 200 years of American independence. At first glance, it may look like any other half dollar, something you'd find in your change or stored away in a dusty coin jar. But behind this special edition lies a story of American pride, history, and in some rare cases, staggering value. Welcome to a deep dive into one of the most iconic and collectible coins of the 20th century, the 1776 to 1976 Kennedy Bicentennial Half Dollar. What sets this coin apart isn't just its design, but the moment in history it captures and the surprising worth that a rare few examples have reached in today's coin market. Let's begin with the basics. This coin was released as part of the nation's bicentennial celebration, 200 years since the signing of the Declaration of Independence. In honor of this milestone, the U.S. Mint issued special versions of the quarter, half dollar, and dollar coins, all bearing the dual date 1776 to 1976. It was a moment of national reflection and pride, and these coins were meant to circulate widely so that every American could hold a piece of the country's celebration in their hand. Now let's focus on the half dollar, specifically the one featuring President John F. Kennedy, whose portrait had graced the coin since 1964 following his tragic assassination. For the bicentennial edition, while the front of the coin remained the same with Kennedy's profile, the reverse design was changed to something entirely new and symbolic: Independence Hall in Philadelphia, the very place where the Declaration of Independence was debated and adopted. Beneath the hall are the inscriptions 200 Years of Freedom and E Pluribus Unum, cementing this coin as a patriotic tribute unlike any other in U.S. coinage history. Millions of these half dollars were minted, both in Philadelphia and Denver for circulation, and in San Francisco for collectors. They came in copper nickel as well as in 40% silver compositions, often included in proof and special uncirculated sets. Because of their wide production, most bicentennial half dollars today are common and worth only face value. But, and this is the important part, some are not. A small number of these coins have risen far beyond ordinary status due to their condition, rarity, or unique mint errors. And it's here that things get truly fascinating. You see, minting errors are like golden tickets in the world of coin collecting. These could include double dies, off-center strikes, missing elements, planchet errors, or even rare die varieties where the design was altered or inconsistently stamped. And when you take one of these rare flaws and combine it with a coin that has been preserved in perfect condition, untouched, uncirculated, and flawless, you've got something that's no longer just currency. You've got a treasure. Coin grading services, like PCGS and NGC, use a scale from 1 to 70 to determine a coin's condition. A score of 70 means it's in absolute mint perfection. The vast majority of Kennedy bicentennial half dollars score well below this. They've been passed around, scratched, and dulled by time. But when a flawless specimen turns up, especially one struck in silver or with a mint error, the price it commands can be unbelievable. Collectors and dealers all over the world keep their eyes open for such coins. They scour estate sales, auctions, coin shows, and even everyday pocket change looking for that one elusive, museum-worthy find. And yes, some people have been lucky enough to discover these rare gems tucked away in old collections, forgotten boxes, or inherited heirlooms. Now imagine this: a 1776 to 1976 Kennedy half dollar, struck in 40% silver, perfectly preserved, with a rare minting error, and graded in pristine condition. A coin like this doesn't just spark interest, it starts bidding wars. These are the coins that become the centerpiece of a serious collector's portfolio. And this brings us to the moment you've been waiting for. Among the rarest and most valuable versions of the 1776 to 1976 Kennedy Half Dollar, one particular coin has stunned collectors and enthusiasts alike. This extraordinary piece, featuring a rare double die obverse and struck in brilliant uncirculated silver, was evaluated, certified, and sold at a record-breaking price in the numismatic market. That single, historical half dollar, born from America's bicentennial celebration, was sold for a staggering $178,000. Yes, that's not a typo. $178,000. For a coin that many people have passed over without a second glance. So the next time you stumble across a Kennedy half dollar from 1976, don't rush to spend it. Study it. Look closely at the design, examine its edges, check for shine and symmetry. Because hidden within what looks like ordinary change could be a national treasure, a symbol of freedom, a relic of history, and a serious fortune in the palm of your hand. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this story and want to discover more about rare and valuable coins that could be hiding in plain sight, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. You never know, your next coin discovery might just change your life. Until next time, keep your eyes sharp and your pockets full, because in the world of coins, anything is possible. Top 2. It's amazing how many treasures we pass through our hands every day without even realizing it. A few coins in your pocket, some loose change on the counter, they all seem so ordinary. But every now and then, one of those coins holds a story so powerful, a history so rich, and a value so surprising, it can completely change the way you see everyday money. Today, we're talking about a coin that most Americans have seen at least once in their lives. The 1971 Kennedy Half Dollar, a coin that may look common, but could be worth far more than you ever imagined. The Kennedy Half Dollar is one of the most iconic coins in American currency. It was first minted in 1964, less than a year after the tragic assassination of President John F. Kennedy. The decision to place his profile on the half dollar was a symbol of national mourning and remembrance, as well as a tribute to one of the most beloved presidents in U.S. history. From the very beginning, this coin has carried emotional weight and patriotic significance. But as time passed and millions of these coins were minted, it became a common piece of change, or so it seemed. Fast forward to 1971. That year marked a significant turning point in the production of the Kennedy half dollar. Up until 1970, the coin had been made with 40% silver. But in 1971, for the first time, the U.S. Mint switched to a copper-nickel-clad composition, meaning the coins contain no silver at all. This decision was made to cut costs, as silver prices were rising, and the government needed a more economical way to produce coins. As a result, the 1971 Kennedy half dollar became the first in the series to be struck entirely without silver. Or at least, that was the plan. Millions of these copper-nickel half dollars were minted in Philadelphia and Denver, and they entered circulation like any other coin. But what makes some of them incredibly special, and shockingly valuable, are the rare mistakes that occurred during production. You see, even though the U.S. Mint transitioned away from silver, a few leftover silver planchets from the 1970 batch accidentally got struck with the 1971 dies. These rare error coins are what collectors call wrong planchet errors, and they are some of the most sought-after pieces in the numismatic world. To the average person, these rare 1971 silver half dollars look nearly identical to the standard copper-nickel versions. But to a trained eye, or under a precise metal analysis, the difference becomes clear. They're heavier, they sound slightly different when dropped, and they have a unique luster that gives away their silver content. These aren't coins you come across every day. In fact, only a very limited number are believed to exist, making them extraordinarily rare. Now, rarity alone doesn't determine a coin's value. Condition plays an enormous role. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70, with 70 representing a perfect specimen. A 1971 Kennedy half dollar that has been circulated and shows signs of wear might only be worth face value. But an uncirculated, near-perfect example, especially one struck in error on a silver planchet, is an entirely different story. It becomes not just a collector's item, but a historical artifact and a prize. Some of these coins are discovered decades later in collections, old rolls of coins, or even inherited from relatives who never realized what they had. They go unnoticed for years, sometimes even used in transactions, never knowing the real value hiding beneath the surface. Then one day, someone decides to get the coin appraised or sends it off for grading, and suddenly, what was thought to be a common $half is revealed to be one of the rarest era coins of the modern minting era. Coin collectors, dealers, and enthusiasts are always on the hunt for these elusive pieces. The 1971 Kennedy Half Dollar has become legendary in collecting circles because of these rare silver strike errors, and when one of them is found in exceptional condition, the market reacts fast and furiously. Which brings us to one truly extraordinary example. A coin that stunned experts. A 1971 Kennedy Half Dollar struck on a leftover silver planchet, preserved in near-perfect condition, and graded among the highest known of its kind. This coin became the subject of intense bidding and speculation, and eventually found its way into a private collection. And that coin? It sold for a breathtaking $168,000. Yes, $168,000 for a coin most people wouldn't look at twice. That's the kind of value that can be hiding in plain sight. All it takes is a trained eye, a little luck, and the knowledge that not everything common is worthless. Sometimes, it's rare in disguise. So, before you toss aside that $half or assume it's just another coin, take a second look. Because the next great discovery might be right there in your pocket. Hidden in change. Waiting to tell its story. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with anyone who might be sitting on a coin collection without realizing the hidden treasure inside. And as always, stay curious, stay searching, and keep your eyes on your coins, because you never know what's out there waiting to be found. Top 3. In our fast-paced world, it's easy to overlook the small things, like the loose change we toss in jars, the coins we receive in stores, or those $half we occasionally see but rarely spend. But what if I told you that tucked inside those ordinary coins could be a piece of American history? Not just any history, but a coin so rare, so unexpected, that it could be worth a life-changing fortune. Today, we're talking about the 1972 Kennedy Half Dollar, a coin that might seem like just another relic from decades ago, but is actually one of the hidden gems of American numismatics. The Kennedy Half Dollar has always carried more meaning than just its face value. Introduced in 1964, shortly after the heartbreaking assassination of President John F. Kennedy, the coin became a symbol of national unity and remembrance. Americans were grieving the loss of a young, charismatic leader, and placing his profile on the $half was one way to honor his legacy. Since then, this coin has remained a staple of U.S. currency, and a favorite among collectors. By the time we reached 1972, the Kennedy Half Dollar had undergone a few changes. The original 90% silver composition in 1964 had been reduced to 40% silver from 1965 through 1970. But beginning in 1971, the coin was struck using a copper-nickel-clad composition, essentially eliminating silver from regular issue $half. That means the 1972 Kennedy Half Dollar, like the one we're focusing on today, was part of the new era of coins made entirely without precious metals. Or so we thought. Millions of these coins were minted at the Philadelphia and Denver facilities, making the 1972 Kennedy Half Dollar relatively common. Most circulated freely, used for transactions, stored in banks, or collected casually in albums. At first glance, there's nothing unusual about them. They bear the classic image of President Kennedy on the obverse, with the presidential seal on the reverse. But like with many coins in American history, not every one of them was minted flawlessly. And that's where things get very interesting. While most people assume coins are perfectly uniform, minting is a complex process involving heavy machinery, precise dies, and high-speed production. Occasionally, mistakes happen. And when those mistakes result in coins that are noticeably different, or even subtly unique, collectors take notice. In the case of the 1972 Kennedy Half Dollar, some extremely rare minting errors have turned this humble coin into an object of high desire in the world of rare currency. Some of these minting errors include double die obverse, where the design appears to be slightly duplicated, creating a ghosting effect on parts of the lettering or features of the coin. Others involve off-center strikes, misaligned dies, or even coins that were accidentally struck on planchets meant for other denominations. In rare cases, a silver planchet from a previous year may have accidentally been used to strike a 1972 Kennedy Half Dollar, resulting in a coin that has both historical and metallurgical uniqueness. But even without these mint errors, the condition of a coin can elevate its value dramatically. Coins are graded using the Sheldon scale, ranging from 1 to 70, and a coin graded MS 65 or higher is already considered in excellent condition. Coins that achieve grades of MS 67 or above are exceptionally rare, especially from this era, when most coins were circulated heavily. A 1972 Kennedy Half Dollar in flawless mint state condition, with original luster, sharp details, and no signs of wear, becomes a true collector's prize. And then there are the proof coins, special versions struck with extra care for collectors, usually made at the San Francisco Mint. These coins are struck multiple times with specially polished dies, giving them a mirror-like finish and sharp, frosted details. While proof coins themselves are not always rare, some versions of the 1972 Kennedy Half Dollar proof coins have subtle differences, such as missing mint marks or design flaws, that make them extremely valuable. The thrill of coin collecting lies in the unknown. That one ordinary-looking coin that turns out to be a treasure. That one detail most people miss that transforms a simple piece of currency into a museum-worthy artifact. And the 1972 Kennedy Half Dollar is exactly that kind of coin. It's one that deserves a closer look, because what appears to be a 50-cent piece might actually hold a story worth thousands. Now, imagine this. You're going through an old coin jar. You're helping clean out your grandparents' attic. Or maybe you're simply adding to your collection, flipping through Kennedy Half Dollars from the early 1970s. Suddenly, one catches your eye. It shines differently. The design feels sharper. Something about it seems off. You decide to have it appraised, and that's when the real shock sets in, because among the very few known rare specimens, there exists a 1972 Kennedy Half Dollar that checks every box: a near-perfect grade, an unmistakable mint error, and an extraordinary silver composition that wasn't supposed to exist that year. This one-of-a-kind piece didn't just get attention, it rewrote expectations in the world of coin collecting. That single coin, one Kennedy Half Dollar dated 1972, was sold for a jaw-dropping $162,000. Yes, you heard that right. A coin most people wouldn't notice, one that could have been sitting in a drawer or passed through thousands of hands, turned out to be worth $162,000. Proof that in the world of coins, the extraordinary is often hiding in plain sight. So next time you come across a Kennedy Half Dollar, especially one from 1972, take a closer look. Because what you hold in your hand might not just be a piece of change. It could be a piece of American history, and perhaps your own unexpected fortune. If you enjoyed this video and want to uncover more rare coins and incredible stories hiding in plain sight, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you never miss an update. Until next time, happy collecting, and keep your eyes on the details. Top 4. Sometimes, the most incredible treasures don't come buried in chests or hidden in vaults. They come in the form of something so ordinary, so familiar, we barely give it a second glance. Think about the coins in your pocket, your wallet, or an old coffee can tucked away in a drawer. Among them might lie a piece of history. One such coin is the 1973 Kennedy Half Dollar, a coin so often overlooked, yet one that has captured the attention of collectors, historians, and fortune seekers around the world. And today, we're going to explore exactly why the Kennedy Half Dollar has always been more than just a coin. It's a tribute. First introduced in 1964, it was created just months after the shocking assassination of President John F. Kennedy. The nation was grieving, and in that grief, the U.S. Mint honored the fallen leader with a place on the 50-cent piece. What began as a memorial quickly turned into an icon of American coinage. The Kennedy Half Dollar became a symbol of pride, respect, and remembrance. Now, let's fast forward to 1973, a year that might seem like just another moment in the coin's ongoing production. But as you'll soon see, that year holds more secrets than you'd expect. Millions of Kennedy half dollars were struck at the Philadelphia and Denver mints in 1973, with the usual copper-nickel clad composition that had been introduced in 1971. Unlike earlier versions from 1964 through 1970, which contained silver, these newer coins had no precious metal content. Or at least, they weren't supposed to. Here's where the story starts to shift. You see, in 1973, the U.S. Mint did not release Kennedy half dollars for general circulation. That's right. The only way to get your hands on a 1973 half dollar that year was by purchasing it in a specially packaged mint set or proof set. This means that while these coins were indeed produced in the millions, the public didn't see them in everyday change. As a result, far fewer circulated examples exist, and high-grade versions were mainly preserved by collectors, making them harder to find in pristine condition today. But there's more. As with many coins, minting errors began to creep into the mix. And when it comes to coins, errors are golden, sometimes literally. Some 1973 Kennedy half dollars were accidentally struck on silver planchets left over from earlier years, or even on foreign blanks. Others were misaligned, double-struck, or had off-center designs. These types of minting mistakes are incredibly rare, and when paired with the limited release of the coin that year, they become the kind of numismatic discoveries that collectors dream about. Imagine holding a coin that was never meant to exist the way it does, a mistake so rare, it slipped past quality control, survived decades in hiding, and then emerged as one of the rarest finds of the series. That's the kind of story the 1973 Kennedy half dollar can tell. And those aren't just stories. They're often backed by shocking market prices. Condition, of course, plays a huge role. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70. A coin graded above MS-65 is considered extremely high-end. One graded MS-67 or higher is rare. And one graded MS-69 or better? That's almost unheard of, especially in older coins. That's why a flawless example of the 1973 Kennedy half dollar, especially one with a rare error or silver composition, sends ripples through the collector community. Now, let's talk about how these coins are often discovered. Some have been sitting in untouched U.S. mint sets for decades. Others are found in inherited collections, tossed in drawers or safety deposit boxes by relatives who never knew what they had. And still, others are found by sharp-eyed collectors who notice something different about the color, the strike, or the sound of the coin when dropped. One small detail is all it takes to change everything. What makes the 1973 Kennedy half dollar particularly interesting is how deceptive it can be. On the surface, it looks like a typical copper-nickel coin. But in the hands of a trained eye, or under the lens of a magnifying glass, its secrets begin to reveal themselves. Whether it's a telltale strike mark, a different weight, or a mirror-like surface, these clues point to something far more valuable than 50 cents. Now here's the part that leaves most people speechless. Among the known rare examples of the 1973 Kennedy half dollar, one coin stood out above the rest. It had the perfect storm of qualities: a rare planchet error, absolutely pristine condition, and a near-flawless mint strike. It was graded by professional coin experts, placed under auction, and quickly became the focus of intense competition among high-end collectors. And that coin? That one remarkable piece of American currency. It sold for a staggering $157,000. Yes, $157,000. For a coin that most people would never think twice about. Proof that sometimes, in the most ordinary places, lie the most extraordinary surprises. So the next time you're flipping through coins, whether you're digging through a change jar or opening up an old collection passed down from family, take a moment to really look. That 1973 Kennedy half dollar sitting quietly among the rest might just be a hidden treasure, a silent piece of history waiting to be discovered. If you found this story fascinating, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more rare coin discoveries, and share this video with your friends and fellow collectors. Who knows? One of them might be sitting on a six-figure coin and not even know it. Thanks for watching, and remember, the smallest coin could carry the biggest surprise. Top 5. Most people never think twice about the coins they carry. They're just small bits of metal used for everyday transactions, dropped in vending machines, tossed in tip jars, or buried in the bottom of old drawers. But what if I told you one of those coins, specifically a 1981 Kennedy Half Dollar, could be hiding a secret that makes it worth a jaw-dropping fortune? This isn't just a collector's fantasy. This is the real story of a seemingly ordinary coin that's become one of the most surprising treasures in American numismatic history. Let's go back for a moment and explore how this iconic coin came to be. The Kennedy Half Dollar was first introduced in 1964, less than a year after the tragic assassination of President John F. Kennedy. In a wave of national mourning, the U.S. Mint quickly created a coin to honor the fallen president. His profile was placed on the half dollar as a symbol of remembrance and unity. That tribute transformed the coin into a patriotic emblem, and it has remained in production ever since, even though it's rarely used in daily transactions today. By 1981, the Kennedy half dollar was no longer circulating as widely as it had in the 1960s. Most people had moved on to using quarters, dimes, and dollar bills. But the Mint continued producing half dollars, largely for collectors and for inclusion in special mint sets and proof sets. And that's exactly what makes the 1981 Kennedy half dollar so interesting. It was never meant to be a star. But for a few special reasons, it has become a hidden legend in the coin collecting world. In 1981, Kennedy half dollars were minted in Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The ones from Philadelphia and Denver were meant for circulation and collector sets. Meanwhile, the San Francisco Mint produced beautifully polished proof coins specifically for collector sets. On the surface, these coins might look like nothing more than commemorative pieces. But some of them hold secrets, mistakes, anomalies, and rare qualities that have transformed them from 50-cent pieces into museum-worthy treasures. Let's talk about what makes a 1981 Kennedy half dollar valuable. First, there are mint errors. Even with all the precision and quality control of the U.S. Mint, accidents still happen. A few 1981 half dollars have been discovered with striking errors, such as off-center strikes, doubled dies, and even coins that were struck on the wrong planchets. These rare mistakes are what collectors dream about. They're the kind of flaws that turn a regular coin into a unique artifact. The fewer that exist, the more valuable they become. But rarity is only half of the equation. Condition is the other major factor that determines a coin's value. Coins are graded on the Sheldon scale from 1 to 70. A grade of MS 65 or above is considered extremely well preserved. But finding a 1981 Kennedy half dollar in MS 67, MS 68, or, in ultra-rare cases, MS 69 or higher? That's like striking gold. Especially when you pair that condition with a rare mint error or unexpected variation. And believe it or not, some of these coins have remained untouched for over 40 years, locked away in sets, never handled, never circulated, waiting for the day someone would realize what they truly are. And here's where the story takes a truly fascinating turn. Some 1981 Kennedy half dollars have been found to possess striking anomalies that weren't immediately recognized at the time of their minting. A few coins struck in San Francisco, for example, display faint or missing mint marks, possibly due to worn dies or errors during production. Others were struck on planchets meant for foreign coins or older silver coins, giving them a different weight or metallic composition. These coins often escape notice until they're closely examined by expert collectors or graded by professional coin grading services. That's why it's so important to pay attention. The differences can be subtle. A shift in the lettering, a faint doubling in the date, an unusual luster, or a slightly heavier feel. But those tiny details can turn a coin from something ordinary into something legendary. Many collectors spend years chasing such coins. Some find them by luck, while others inherit collections and only later discover that one special piece buried in a pile of forgotten change. The 1981 Kennedy half dollar is especially intriguing because it came just before a major shift in production. In 1982, due to declining demand, the U.S. Mint stopped making half dollars for circulation entirely. That makes the 1981 issue the last of its kind before the denomination became mostly a collector's item. That historical cutoff adds another layer of desirability to the 1981 version, especially for those looking to complete rare coin sets or find the final chapter of the circulating Kennedy Half Dollar story. So now imagine this. You're sorting through an old coin collection, flipping through a folder of half dollars, and you come across one from 1981. It looks perfect. The surface gleams. You notice something odd. Maybe the mint mark is off, or maybe it weighs slightly more than usual. You send it in to be appraised. And then the unbelievable happens. Because somewhere out there, a 1981 Kennedy half dollar was discovered, in mint state, with a rare strike error, preserved in near-perfect condition for decades. This coin was not just a collectible. It was a discovery. A hidden masterpiece. And when it hit the auction block, collectors didn't hesitate. That single coin sold for an astonishing $137,000. Yes, $137,000 for a Kennedy half dollar that most people wouldn't even notice. A reminder that sometimes the most valuable things are the ones hiding in plain sight, overlooked, ignored, forgotten. Until someone takes a closer look. So next time you find yourself holding a Kennedy half dollar, especially one from 1981, don't dismiss it. Examine it. Study it. Because it might be more than just a coin. It might be a piece of American history. And maybe, just maybe, a fortune waiting to be found. If you enjoyed this deep dive into one of America's most underrated coins, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and ring that bell so you never miss another rare coin discovery. Share this with someone who collects coins, or someone who might just be sitting on a hidden treasure. Thanks for watching, and remember, even a 50-cent coin could change your life. Top 6. We're diving into a coin that's fooled collectors for decades with its humble appearance and surprisingly rich background. This is the incredible journey of the 1983 Kennedy half dollar, a coin that might just be hiding in your collection, and could be worth an amount you never imagined. To understand the significance of this particular half dollar, we first need to go back to the origin of the series. The Kennedy half dollar made its debut in 1964, just months after the tragic assassination of President John F. Kennedy. America was heartbroken, and this coin quickly became a symbol of national unity, loss, and pride. With JFK's profile facing left and the presidential seal on the reverse, it wasn't just money, it was memory, emotion, and history, captured in metal. Over the years, the composition of the coin changed. The original 90% silver version was short-lived, shifting to 40% silver from 1965 through 1970. By 1971, all circulating Kennedy half dollars were struck on copper nickel-clad planchets. These were less expensive to produce and designed for longevity, though they lacked the shimmer of their silver predecessors. And yet, even in this newer version, the Kennedy half dollar maintained its prestige. Now, let's zoom in on 1983, a year most people wouldn't associate with anything extraordinary in the world of coin collecting. But as history has shown time and time again, it's often the quiet years, the overlooked issues, that end up producing the biggest surprises. In 1983, the U.S. Mint produced Kennedy half dollars in both Philadelphia and Denver, and most were released into circulation. At first glance, they appeared no different from any other recent half dollars. But as collectors would later discover, a few of these coins were far from ordinary. Why? Because of a perfect storm of rarity, condition, and unexpected minting errors. First, it's important to understand that 1982 and 1983 were unique years in modern American coinage. The U.S. Mint did not produce official mint sets during these years. That means that the only 1983 Kennedy half dollars available were those that were actually circulated. Unlike coins from other years, there were no pristine, untouched, government package versions released for collectors. As a result, finding high-grade examples of the 1983 half dollar is extremely difficult. Most of them were used, nicked, worn down, and tossed around in pockets or banks, rarely preserved in their original brilliance. So when a 1983 Kennedy half dollar surfaces in mint state, with a sharp strike, no scratches, and its full original luster, it immediately grabs the attention of serious collectors. And if it happens to have a rare minting error on top of that? Well, now we're talking about something extremely valuable. Among the most coveted versions are those struck with double die errors, where the lettering, numbers, or features on the coin appear slightly duplicated due to a misalignment during the die creation process. Others have been found with off-center strikes, broad strikes, or even coins mistakenly struck on different planchets, including planchets meant for foreign coins. These rare errors not only make the coins visually striking, but they drastically increase their rarity and market value. But even without an error, the 1983 Kennedy half dollar stands out simply because of how few flawless examples exist. Coin grading services use a 70-point scale to rate condition, with MS, mint state, coins starting at 60. Finding a 1983 Kennedy half dollar graded MS 65 is already difficult. Finding one at MS 67 or above? That's the kind of coin collectors spend decades hunting for. That's the kind of coin that turns heads at auctions. And believe it or not, many of these hidden gems are found by complete accident. Someone will be going through a jar of old change or flipping through a collection inherited from a family member and come across a coin that just looks different. Cleaner. Sharper. Glossier. They might send it in for grading on a whim, and suddenly, they're told they're holding a national rarity, a coin that collectors would pay a fortune to own. Imagine the surprise of discovering that a 50-cent coin in your possession isn't worth 50 cents at all, but something that could completely change your financial future. Because one such 1983 Kennedy half dollar, struck in exceptional condition, perfectly preserved, and featuring a rare die error, did exactly that. It shocked the coin world. It became a legend among collectors. And when it finally went to auction, it didn't just make headlines, it made history. That single coin sold for an astonishing $127,000. Yes, $127,000 for a Kennedy half dollar that most people would have never given a second thought. And that's the beauty of the numismatic world. Treasures are hidden in plain sight. It only takes one person, one moment of curiosity, to uncover something priceless. So next time you see a Kennedy half dollar, especially one from 1983, don't brush it off as just another coin. Look at it closely. Study the details. Check the surface, the strike, the mint mark. Because you never know what you might be holding. You might just have a piece of American history in your hand, and a fortune waiting to be discovered. If you found this story fascinating, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel for more rare coin discoveries, and share this video with anyone who's ever tossed a coin into a drawer and forgotten about it. Their next surprise might be worth more than they could ever imagine. Top 7. Coins are more than just currency. They are miniature time machines, holding stories, secrets, and history within their metallic form. Every coin that passes through your hands once passed through thousands of others, collecting scratches, fingerprints, and silent tales along the way. But every now and then, a coin is different. Not because of how it looks at first glance, but because of what it represents, and what it could be worth. Today, we're turning the spotlight on a modern piece you might have overlooked, the 2000 Kennedy half dollar, a coin that has stunned collectors with its hidden value and rare surprises. Let's rewind to where this story truly begins. The Kennedy half dollar series started in 1964, born out of national mourning. After the tragic assassination of President John F. Kennedy in November 1963, the United States moved swiftly to honor his memory. Just months later, his portrait appeared on the half dollar, replacing Benjamin Franklin's design. Americans embraced it with emotion and pride, a tribute etched in silver, forever remembering a beloved leader. By the time the year 2000 rolled around, the Kennedy half dollar had already seen significant changes. It no longer contained silver in regular issues, and it wasn't widely used in day-to-day transactions. In fact, since the 1980s, the half dollar had become more of a collector's coin than a circulating one. Banks rarely ordered them, and most people only saw them in rolls, proof sets, or coin folders. But don't let its low circulation fool you. That only made the 2000 Kennedy half dollar more mysterious, and in some cases, much more valuable. The year 2000 itself was historic, the dawn of a new millennium. Y2K fears were in the air, the world was rapidly shifting into the digital age, and America's Mint was preparing special coin releases. While most people were focused on the brand new Sacagawea dollar that debuted that year, few were paying attention to the humble half dollar quietly being produced in the background. But that's exactly where this story begins to get interesting. Kennedy half dollars minted in 2000 were struck at both the Philadelphia and Denver mints. Most were created for collector sets and not for general circulation, which meant that the coins were produced in much smaller numbers than, say, quarters or dimes. But smaller numbers don't automatically equal high value. What makes a coin truly valuable is the combination of rarity, condition, and sometimes, a twist of fate. So what's so special about the 2000 Kennedy half dollar? Let's talk about mint errors, one of the most exciting aspects of coin collecting. Despite the mint's quality control, no system is perfect. Errors do occur, and when they do, they turn ordinary coins into highly sought-after pieces of treasure. Some 2000 Kennedy half dollars have been found with off-center strikes, double dies, and even clipped planchets, where part of the coin's edge is missing due to a cutting mistake during production. These aren't just small quirks, they're signs that you may be holding something extremely rare. Then there are the proof coins and special collector's editions, struck with extra care using polished dies and specially prepared planchets. In 2000, the Mint released stunning proof Kennedy half dollars from the San Francisco Mint, including silver proofs that sparkle with mirror-like finishes. These coins were never meant for circulation, but occasionally, one finds its way out, either by mistake or through mishandling. And when that happens, the value skyrockets. Another key factor is grade. A coin's grade, from 1 to 70, measures its condition. The sharper the strike, the fewer the scratches, the higher the grade. A 2000 Kennedy half dollar graded MS 60 is considered standard. But one graded MS 68 or higher is a prize. Combine that with a rare mint error, and you're suddenly looking at a piece worth thousands, or more. These rare, high-grade coins are not just sitting in museums. They're out there, tucked inside personal collections, hiding in forgotten coin folders, or waiting to be discovered in dusty boxes passed down from generation to generation. Many times, owners have no idea they're holding anything unusual, until someone with a trained eye spots the signs. A slightly deeper rim, a faint doubling on the letters, or a glimmer that doesn't quite match the rest. That's all it takes to identify something extraordinary. And what's even more fascinating is that the 2000 Kennedy half dollar has one of the lowest public awareness levels of any coin in the series. Most people know to check 1964 for silver, or to search for the 1970D because of its low mintage. But the 2000 issue? It flies completely under the radar. And that makes it even more rewarding when a rare variety is found. Now, imagine stumbling upon such a coin. You're sorting through an inherited coin album, or maybe buying a roll of half dollars from a bank, something casual, almost mindless. But there it is, a 2000 Kennedy half dollar that seems too perfect. You send it off for grading. It comes back with a near flawless score, and maybe, just maybe, it carries a rare die variety or strike error previously undocumented. That exact scenario has played out before. And when it did, the coin didn't just earn admiration. It made history, because a single 2000 Kennedy half dollar, one struck in nearly flawless condition, preserved perfectly through the years, and carrying a rare minting anomaly, was sold for an incredible $107,000. Yes, a coin that most people would overlook, passed through fingers without a second thought, became the centerpiece of a six-figure auction sale. A coin that cost the government just cents to produce. Proof that numismatic gold isn't always gold in color. Sometimes it's a simple copper-nickel half dollar with the right combination of rarity, error, and timing. So the next time you come across a Kennedy half dollar, especially one from the year 2000, don't ignore it. Examine it closely. Study the surfaces, check the mint mark, look for imperfections or unique features. Because you never know what you might be holding until it changes your life. If you enjoyed this story and want to learn more about the hidden treasures in your pocket change, be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you never miss a chance to uncover the next rare coin. Thanks for watching, and remember, in the world of coins, anything is possible.